Zombies and Canadian patriotism. Who knew that would happen? And just a little note there, as the credits rolled up, you saw Blank of the Dead Productions. That's because we didn't know what the name of this movie was going to be up until around a month ago. When I was lucky enough to go on set, and the clapperboards just said, "of the Dead." I would like to bring back to the stage, George A. Romero! And I'd also like to bring up the following actors. Ellen Van Sprague, Kathleen Monroe, Kevin Bosnick, and Richard Fitzpatrick. So first off, George, here we go. So George, I'd like to ask you, you finally directed a Western. Why did you choose to go this route with the story? I mean, it's interesting that it's kind of Diary of the Dead kind of put a string out for this character. Can you just talk about how you decided to go this way with your new film?
Well, the Western thing came a little later. Some of it had to do with style. Some of it had to do with, I just sort of liked the juxtaposition. I mean, traditionally, Westerns are about the individual. And zombie films, at least mine, are more about revolution or failed revolution. It's, nothing to do with the individual at all. And I just thought that was a neat contrast. And then there's an old movie called The Big Country, which I love. And so that sort of became our model. The production designer and Adam, the DP, Mark, the designer, Alex Kavanaugh, the wardrobe. We all watched The Big Country, and that became our model. And some of that was just fun. That's what happens when you leave a guy alone,
Can you talk about sort of the story, how, it is kind of a sequel to Diary? I mean, just using one of the minor characters from Diary.
Well, Alan is, and we sort of cheated. The guys in the background were not the same guys, but if you don't really see it coming. There's a guy there that looks a little bit like Cisco. There's a guy that looks a little bit like Eric. I think we can get away with it.
So I just want to ask, Alan, what did you bring to the role of Crockett? I mean, and how was it for you, where you had a small role in Diary, and then suddenly you got a call, it's like, hey, we want you to be the lead in the next one?
I don't know, because I'd known George for a bit, and I was sort of called upon to do these sort of National Guard parts for the prior couple movies, and then I was, off doing something else, and I heard about the script, and he had mentioned, you might be doing a little bit more than just a couple of scenes in the show, but it was great because I don't know, I only really felt like I was sort of playing. It was like Clint Eastwood. I just didn't really have to do anything. I just kind of had to grimace and kind of number a bit like this and smoke some cigarettes and I don't know. And every single time I did a take, I'd be like, "That sucked ass," and I'd be like, "Great, awesome, let's move on." I guess the whole movie's gonna be like that. And it was, but no, it was just like really simple. George and I just seemed to have a shorthand and. Have an understanding of each other, and I don't know, just to see it like that again, I was like, God, it really did suck. But no, it was great. It's nice to see something like this after working with George for the past 6 years, and just seeing everything put together like that. And I mean, he's such a genius at what he does. It was like, I'm really just sort of fell in love with his craft, and being a part of this was just a gift, to say the least. So, thank you, George. Thanks so much.
And if you want to pass the microphone down, I just want to ask a general question to the rest. Are you a horror film fan? Were you well aware of who George A. Romero was?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's the king of the genre, and he pretty much invented the whole thing. So, and also I worked with him on Land. I had a small role on that. Yeah, I cocked a shotgun. That's about it. And then, and yeah, so I knew him from that, and big fan of the movies, and he's what he does is always going to be something special and something that will be part of zombie history, and so yeah, it was great to even have the audition and then get the role. It was just ecstatic. So.
You'd be such a good sharpshooter.
Yeah, I'm a good shooter.
Just pass the microphone down.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was a big fan of George's before meeting him and working with him, and I was and still am just so glad that he let me do this. It was a blast. We shot near my hometown, Hamilton, which was really fun. I mean, yeah, you saw it. It was fun, and everyone's great. George is amazing to work with. He's pretty hands off. I remember there was a couple times I was like, I hope this is going well, because he just keeps moving on. But it was all really great. Great cast. Athena is here as well, who is so amazing as Tom. She's just like incredible. It was just like amazing. Just great cast to work with. So much fun to ride horses and shoot guns with this guy in particular.
And Muldoon, what a role!
That was the big thing there. Everybody was making fun of the Muldoon, right? Yeah. Pussyfoot, right? No, I mean, it was, it's like boyhood fantasy come true, George, you know? I mean, he gave me a gold-plated Winchester lever action gun, and I get to shoot things. Dead things, then undead things. And no, it was a blast. Kenny and I, we go way back as old friends. We actually did our first feature film together, George, and back in the 70s. And I'm sorry he's not here, actually. Yeah, no, I mean, Seamus Muldoon and Patrick O'Flynn, what did you ask for? we would chew in the scenery along the way. Anyway, thanks very much, George.
Just the right measure of it, I think, for this kind of film. I mean, it's meant to be a bit harsh. And you guys, these guys deserve Purple Hearts. The conditions were hideous. The weather was terrible. It was freezing all the time, and it was largely outdoors at night. Terrible, huh? Always raining, snowing, and snow. I mean, it was just terrible. Yeah. And then thawed. It was really rough conditions.
And I want to ask you, I mean, you're still one of the few directors working in the Corps who's able to address social issues. And that's something which is often just totally forgotten in a lot of the mainstream horror films which are coming out now. Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, when I kind of pitch this to people and try and tell them that it's more than just a zombie film, because there are people who dismiss zombie films for just being fodder. I mean, this is about Republicans and Democrats. This is about the crisis in the Middle East. But with zombies. Can you talk about your decision to kind of put that in there?
Well, I always look first for that theme. What's it about? And this is not, it's not. Some of the films have been very specific. Dawn of the Dead was consumerism. They were a bit more obvious, I think. This is more general. It's really about war. It could be Northern Ireland, could be Iraq. People can't forget tribalism, and it's about tribalism, really. People can't forget that they're enemies, and or they label them as enemies, and can't, even faced with an extraordinary changing world, in this case, huge species eradicating event, they're still shooting at each other. So it's always been a disappointment. So that's what this is about.